What's up, everybody? Rabid Hedgehog here once again with Indian of Oklahoma City, and today it's another Triumph. Yeah, seems like these folks get quite a few on the Triumph trade, so it gives me a chance to actually try out some of the Triumph models. This one here is a 2018 Triumph Bonneville T120 Black. So that means this bad boy is the 1200cc 80 horsepower, 77-ish foot-pound of torque. Kind of monster, in a sense. Heavily updated in this time frame from the one that I had before, because the Triumph I had was just an air-cooled engine. So this one being liquid-cooled, a lot more horsepower and more fun. So you're looking at a 31-inch seat height here and around 520 pounds wet, somewhere in there. Great looking bike all the way around. You'll see that it does have the wire wheels, blacked out pipes and everything, being the black model, that matte kind of gray look to it. Good looking bike overall. All right, so as we will see, you have your speedometer, your tachometer, ABS sensors. Of course, this one is equipped with ABS. It does have gear indication on it as well. Your turn signals are on there. You also have your road modes and everything that come up over here with your fuel as well. All right, we'll kind of go through here, and that way you can see neutral indication, coolant warning, oil, fuel, and service engine light is in there as well. This one happens to be equipped with heated grips. This one has the flash the pass and forward for brights, and your information screen will go through there. So there's your trip 1, trip 2, miles per gallon, average miles per gallon, clock. There's your traction control notice, and it is on at this time. Of course, turn signals here. Press to cancel, horn, adjustable lever for the clutch and the brake. Start, so your engine cut off to start. Press all the way down to start it, and your hazard down there. And then you can change your mode right here between rain and road mode, as you'll see as indicated down there. And of course, you can hold and do everything for traction control settings as well. We will not mess with those. We're just going to keep it on for today's ride. All right. Give you one more kind of look around with it before we take it for a spin. All right, take it off the center stand here. There we go. All right, this one's showing 4,396 miles on it. Of course, another used bike review. And away we go. All right, compression braking, not the best right now. That was second gear. It wasn't too fast for it either. But it did coast pretty well versus most motorcycles. There it goes again. Oh yeah, there's barely any compression braking on this motorcycle. Not a bad deal. I like using it, but not everybody does, so it's one of those deals of its personal preference. So if you like a lighter, not as twitchy throttle or seesawing effect, then not having the big engine braking issue will be right up your alley. All right, now I will say something about this dadgum 1200 engine. This thing's got a lot of power to it, and it's very effortless as well. Right. Nice, clean running, very well fueled motorcycle. And I love the stance of the standard Bonneville. The last one I did was, of course, the Bonneville Bobber, which is more of a homage of an American cruiser with British flair. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with a standard British motorcycle in riding, that's for sure. This thing is comfortable. It's got the big knee pads on it, so knees are right up against the tank. It's actually pretty far down to the pegs, so there's actually pretty decent room for somebody with 32-inch legs on it. So you're sitting on there nice, and your legs go straight down pretty much to your, about the middle of your foot from your knees, so your feet are not in a rear set, they're not in a full mid either, they're kind of between the two of them there. And of course you come straight up from your hips up to your shoulders go straight down to your elbows, and your elbows straight down and over to the bar. It's just a nice, relaxed, natural, standard position. Now the mirrors are out there kind of far on the bar. I'm still trying to get them adjusted. But because of that, you actually do not see any part of your elbow or anything really in the mirror there. You might see a little bit of the jacket blowing there, but if I tuck in just a smidge, it's gone, and now all I see is the lane of traffic. So very good visibility on the mirrors. Now this is the 6-speed transmission, and it is a slick transmission. This thing is shifting in and out very nicely at this time. And the clutch pull is actually fairly light. And your engagement point in the friction zone is right around a 3. If you go from 1 to the beginning and 5 all the way out. So right around midway, but it is not bad. It's of course a cable operated clutch, but very light on the pull. Now the seat itself is extremely comfortable. I'm actually really enjoying this ride right now. The suspension too, I know this is kind of a newer section of this road, but this is still a concrete road. It's still very bouncy, and the suspension is handling this rather well. Over these bigger bumps and stuff, and still can confirm that this is a good handling suspension with no preload adjusted on there. Now this is preload adjustable only on the back, front is not preload adjustable whatsoever. And this is going to be a traditional style fork. This thing in no way, shape, or form, though, rides as retro as it looks. That is for sure. This thing has modern power and fueling. The way it's handling itself is just superb. And trust me, I ride vintage bikes all the time. They all have character. This one's literally just purring right along, having a happy day. And of course, right now I'm in 4th gear, barely doing 2,500 RPM. This 1200 engine just sounds good too. I don't know if you can hear it through my microphones and such, but it has a really good sound to it. And the bike itself handles, just like I said, the power is so good. And there's not really any vibrations either. There's a little bit here and there, but they're on the more major side. They're not like the tiny ones that make everything blurry. You can just kind of see handlebar shaking a little bit. So it's got a little bit of that character to it in this parallel twin. All right, so now we're out of that construction zone. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make it up to highway speeds for most of y'all, which is around 70 miles an hour. At 70 miles an hour, this thing is producing around 3,200 RPM or so. And if we back her back down to 60 miles an hour here, we'll go ahead and start changing lanes so we can do the city portion of this. 60 miles an hour comes in around 26 to 2,700 RPM. So this engine is not really doing that much work. Our red line on this motorcycle is around 7,000. I've got quite a bit more room to work with. Now I will say, the input on the bar is heavier than I was expecting. It's kind of something I've been saying a lot about the Triumphs recently, is that I'm actually not really expecting the heaviness of their steering. And once again, I got a motorcycle that's another Triumph, and it's a little bit heavy on the steering, which it's not a bad deal. Some people actually like a little bit heavier steering because that means they're putting more of their effort into it, more of their body, and more of the ride into it because they're actually putting it into it. So this is something that does not bother me. But I'm actually just kind of surprised how the bike feels kind of heavy in the corners. It takes a little bit more input than I was expecting. All right, this is my typical engine braking area, and like I said, this one is extremely light. You can see that we are going down. We're already in third gear, and we're not really coming to a halt. Many more motorcycles in the modern era seem to have that compression braking right off the throttle release, and this one just kind of gingerly coasts its way to a crawl. But it's more of a coast instead of an abrupt stop. And like I said, for some people, especially newer riders, they don't want to have that release throttle and suddenly, you know, kind of deal. You know, there's many bikes that are out there that are like that, and this one just does not do that. Overall, though, this thing is absolutely comfortable, even on these broken roads. I went over a huge bump a moment ago, and I did leave the seat just a smidge, but it didn't upset the chassis in any way. The bike handled that very well, and we're doing well. I just love the sound of this thing. It just happily burbles along. And like I said, the throttle is just perfect. Like, the fueling on it is fantastic. And the ergos are great as well. So I have a very large hand. My glove size is generally 2XL, and you can see everything is perfect. And of course, you can adjust that as well for your levers. All right, we're going to do a standard old brake check here. Oh, wow. Nice bite on that front end. Very good response back end. It has a really good bite to it, really good feel, really positive braking. This is just a great motorcycle. This is one of those bikes that, you know, and a lot of people do this with Triumph Bonnevilles, and I've had the Triumph America Bonneville, which is more set up as a traditional kind of long-range touring type bike with floorboards and everything. But you could take these regular Bonnevilles and make them into kind of a partial sport touring bike, just because the way you sit and everything, it's more that sport standard style position, like I said, not really a cruiser, lower bars, everything like that. And it's just a very comfortable, nice riding machine, and you could take it a long way with you. Bouncing around on this road here, which is awful broken. Like I said, it's a suspension's handling it very nicely, and because of that, it does not have an issue with giving the rider fatigue, being bounced around and jostled. And like I said, yeah, the vibrations, they're there. You can see a little bit in the mirrors here and there, but they're not like the little tiny ones that make you go into a buzz fit whenever you get off the bike after a long time. They're the bigger style that gives that more character. It's kind of hard to describe that, I guess. Oh yeah, these brakes are great. Somebody got rear-ended, sad days. Alrighty. Yeah, this thing just takes right off the line. Very good power coming from this machine. Like I said, something like 80 horsepower and 77 foot-pounds of torque with this 1200 engine. And yes, it has been out a couple of years. I just haven't had a chance to really ride one before. And of course, a lot of people want to know what happens in the aftermarket or after their road for a little bit when they're brand new. And you pick one up used because you get a good price. Are they still worth it? And by gum, this one's a nice little machine or a nice little kit here. So I'm running around in fourth gear right now. We're about 2,500 RPMs at 45 miles an hour. This engine really does not work at all. It just nicely just pulls this bike right along. Like I said, it weighs somewhere around, it's 494 dry, so you add a few pounds there for fuel and fluids and everything that go into it, and you're going to end up out right around 520 or so, somewhere in there, fully ready to ride. Don't feel like it though. Like I said, I am a little shocked about how how heavy the steering is, but it's not a big deal to me at all. This braking is just great. Need a touch more compression braking for my taste. I like the compression braking. That way I can A, save some fuel. Wow. Yes, I was there, folks. You always keep your head up, people. They look right at you, but they don't see you. Woohoo! Yeah, this thing rockets really nicely. All right, back on the interstate here, get back on this, and this bike is doing exactly what it loves to do. This thing just takes all of this with ease. No strain on the engine, nice transmission, is so easy to operate. It's just a clean, running, all-around perfect standard motorcycle. Like I said, you could outfit this thing. I was trying to say it earlier, but I didn't get there. But a lot of people take these things and outfit them with bags and everything for the ride. And I mean, you could take these things on a long trip and enjoy it. I mean, the engine is fantastic. If you find some corners to play with and get down into the twisties and things, this bike is going to be perfect for that. This bike is great around town. It's not a very big machine. It's not heavy at all in terms of how it feels on the road. Like I said, steering, yeah, a little heavy, you know, but it'll still get through town and carve up the roads just fine. I'm really liking the way this bike is on this road right now. Now we're going to put it through the gauntlet here. And that's this terrible ramp that they're doing here. All right. Oof. Yeah, not that bad. Here's the big one. I didn't leave the seat this time. Still a pretty good bump there, but like I said, the suspension's really good. This is where I get it. I'm going into this turn here, and I'm putting a lot more input than I was expecting. But it still turns rather well. And like I said, it's one of those bikes that, because of the way it's designed, it really, really has you participate in the ride. It's not such an easy machine that it just thinks for you. You get to think a little bit as a rider for this machine, and you get to put more input into it to steer it and have a lot more fun. It's more traditional. So it has all the goodies and all the fun things that you can have for a modern motorcycle, like traction control, ABS, and all that good stuff. Brakes are great, suspension's good, everything is modern, but it still has that little bit of old school charm in terms of how much input as a rider you got to do by putting your body into it and by putting your mind into where you're wanting to go, because you got to tell it what to do. And that's not a bad deal. So at any rate, once again, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. I'm at Indian of Oklahoma City, located at 7 Northeast 10th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I am not paid by them. I do not work for them or anything like that. And I'm not paid by any manufacturer whatsoever, despite what some people may think. I'm just a madman with an opinion who happens to work at a bank every day. Nah. So at any rate, just remember that, folks. I'm just an average guy, just like you, and I get to ride these awesome machines thanks to Indian of Oklahoma City, so I'm very thankful for them. I also want to thank AGV Sport. Once again, this James jacket, fantastic jacket. This jacket has been with me for a few months now. It's been through the hundreds, and right now we're in the 80s. Perfect day to ride, and it is just fantastic. Go to AGVSport.com. I'll put that in the link below. Actually, it's AGVSportUSA.com. And that way you can find the gear that I'm wearing. And I love these Mercury gloves. This is my newest set of gloves. I went over there and bought them. Fantastic as well. Very great for the summer, just like the Mayhem ones. These are just a little bit different style, not as aggressive. So they're fantastic too. So if you want to know what kind of gear I've got, I'll put that in the description as well. And once again, thanks AGV Sport for doing what you did. At any rate, keep that shine side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next ride.
What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog. We once again want to thank you for watching our videos. Please like, share, subscribe today, and if you like what you see, mash that notification button so that way you get our latest videos and notifications live and on the spot. We also want to thank our dealership partners, Indian of Oklahoma City, House of Kawasaki, and Motorcycle Works Moto Guzzi, who is also our motorcycle mechanic. We want to thank them for allowing us to ride their rides. We are not paid in by any way by any manufacturer or dealer. We just get to be mad men and women with opinions. We also want to reach out to our sponsors and thank them. We have Law Tigers Motorcycle Lawyers. These motorcycle lawyers are mostly nationwide and can be reached 24/7 at lawtigers.com or 1-888-868-0208. We also want to thank our newest sponsor for gear and the things that you see us wearing, AGVSportUSA. They are out of AGVSportUSA.com in Flower Mound, Texas. We also want to thank Doug Crawford and AMS Oil for protecting our machines with the latest in lubrication technologies. He can be found at usasynthetics.com or 405-388-6170. And also for Derek Enloe and Associates Insurance Company, he can be found at 405-261-1010. Once again, everybody, keep that shiny side up, and we'll catch you on the next ride.